Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Tranaya Karuna Gana Ganatvam Sham Sharadava Nalalida Loka Karuna Gana Ganatam Prapta Sakalyana Gurana Vasya Vande Gurashi Charana Ravindam Prapta Sakalyana Gurana Vasya Vande Gurashi Charana Vande Gurashi Charanaravindam Vande Gurashi Charanaravindam Mahaprabhu ki Tana Nitya Gita Vaditra Madhyam Manasura Vaditra Madhyam Manasura Romanchakam Pasu Taranga Bhajo Vande Gurashi Charanaravindam Shri Vigrahara Dhananityanana Shing Sangaratanama Niramarjanado Joktasya Bhaktamsa Niyunjatapi Vande Gurashi Charanara Vrindam Chaturvidhashi Bhagavat Prasad Satana Truptan Hari Bhakta Sangha Chaturvidhashi Bhagavat Prasad Satana Truptan Hari Bhakta Sangha Kritva iva trupti Bhajata Shadeva Vande Gurashi Charanara Vrindam Shradikama Vabayara Para Madhura Lila Gunarupanamna Shradikama Para Madhura Lila Pratikshanasva Tanalalopasya Vande Gurashi Charanara Vrindam Ne kunja yuno rati kerisidyai Jajali virjokti apekshaneya Ne kunja yuno Tatrati daksha ati balavasya Vande Gurashi Charanara Vrindam Tatrati daksha Sakshad Haritvena Shamasta Shashe Rukta Tatava Vyataiva Sadhavi Kintu Prabhaja Priyaiva Tasya Vande Gurashi Charanara Vrindam Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutapi Yasya Prasada Yasya Prasada Nagati Kutapi Dhyayam stuvam tasya yasatri sandhyam Vande Gurashi Charanara Vrindam Dhyayam stuvam tasya yasatri sandhyam Vande Gurashi Charanara Vrindam Vande Gurashi Charanara Nama O Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namah Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesa Shunyavadi Pachatari Shatarine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Nivishesha Shunavadi Vatsatari Shat Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Chaitanya Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hariyaraye Namah Krishna Yadavaye Namah Yadavaye Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah Gopal Govindaram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Sita Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavata Gita Shri Rupa Sanatan Vataraguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasaraguna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hari Bol. Shri Radha, Nila Madhava Radha, Nila Madhava, Radhe Radhe. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra. Haribo, Haribo, Nitai, Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Hari Premanande, Hari Haribo. Jai Vishnu Paraparam Saprabhajaka Chari Sutara Sarasishama. His Divine Grace of Vacharavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON प्रतिष्ठा विधि समस्त प्रचार वैष्णव शिरोमणि पतित पावन श्रील प्रभुपाद जी महाराज की जय। श्री गौरिय गुरु वर्गा पतित उद्धार की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भद्र रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास गुण सदोष स्वामी प्रभु की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर जी की जय। अनंत गुरु वैष्णव वृंद की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सरि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। जय परम दयाल से नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय। जय प्रेम नाम संकीर्तन एक जना का प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम श्री सच्चिदानंद स्मरण गौरंग चैतन्य महाप्रभु गौर हरि मावरण अवतार की जय। गुरु के प्रमधान हरि नाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। जोग धर्म हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। बृहद बिंदांग ट्रांसडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सेवा की जय। शिशु राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपना राधा कुंज सम कुंज गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय। श्री ब्रजबिम वृंदावन मथुर धाम की जय। शिशु नील माधव की जय। श्री श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप एक चक्रधाम की जय। परम करुणा शिशु गौर निताय की जय। श्री पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव प्रभु सुभद्रा देवी सुदर्शन चक्र भगवान की जय। भक्ति सर्व विघ्न विनाशना कनिष्ठ हरे भगवान की जय। सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान जी की जय। गंगा माय जमुना माय की जय। तुलसी महारानी वृंदी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री मथुरा की जय। समवेत भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौरी प्रमानंदे। All glories to the assembly bodies. All glories to the assembly bodies. All glories to the assembly bodies. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru Shri Gauranga. Namaste Narasingaya. Namaste Narasingaya. Pralada la da da aine. Hiranyakasipur Bhaksha. Silatangkanakalaye. Ito nisingo parato nisingo. Jato jato jamita to nisingo. Bair nisingo, hrudaye nisingo. Narasimha Madhimi Sharanam Prapade. Tava Kara Kamala Bare Naka Advaita Singha Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanabringa Kisabadita Narari Rupa Jai Jagadisa Re Jai Jagadisa Re Jai Jagadisa Re Abakara Kamala Bare Nakam Advaita Singha Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanabringa Kesavadita Narari Rupa Jai Jagadisa Re Jai Jagadisa Re Jai Jagadisa Jaya Nisingade, Jaya Nisingade, Nisingade, Jaya Nisingade. Jaya Narahari, Jaya Narahari, Narahari, Jaya Narahari. Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha, Jayo Lakshmi Narasimha. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Bhakta Prahlad, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. जय श्री श्री भक्ति पथ सर्वविघ्नाशना कनिष्ठिंगरे भगवान की जय। जय भक्त श्रेष्ठ प्रहलाद महाराज की। निताय गौर हरि प्रमानंदे हरि 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 बोल। श्री वृंदाई तुलसी देवाय प्रिय के सब सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रारे देवी सतवताय नमो नमः। वृंदाई तुलसी देवाय प्रिय के सब सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रारे देवी सतवताय नमो नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देवाय प्रिय के सब सत्य विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवी सतवताय नमो नमः। श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावन अभिलाषी राधा कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावन अभिलाषी जितोमर शरणल तारवंच पूर्णा जितोमर कृपा करे कर तरे वृंदावन वासी तुम्हें कृपा करे कर तरे वृंदावन वासी Vilas Kunje Diyava Nayane Vibhashada Jugala Ruparasi Amen. Vedana Sakirayano Gatakoro Sevayade Koro Die Koroni Jadasi Dina Krishna Dasiko Enamora Sri Radha Govinda Prema Sadayana Vasi Sri Radha Govinda Prema Sadayana Vasi Yani Kanisha Papane Brahma Tari Kanisha Tanitane Prana Santi Pradakshina Pade Pade Yani Kanisha Papane Brahma Tari Kanisha Tanitane Prana Santi Pradakshina Pade Pade Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Jaya Tulsi Maharani Brinda Devi, Jaya Tulsi Maharani Jaya Brinda Devi. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Shri Vrindai Tulasi Devai Priyaye Kesava Satya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satavataye Namo Namaha Vrindai tulasi divai priyaya kesava satya Vishnu bhakti prade devi satavataye namo namah. Vrindaya tulasi devaya priyaya kesava satya Vishnu bhakti prade devi satavataye namo namah. Shrimati Tulasi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai. Oh Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow before you again and again. My desire to obtain the service with Shri Radha and Krishna. Whoever takes shelter of you has wishes fulfilled. Bestow your mercy upon him, you make him resident of Vrindavan. My desire is that you also give me a residence in pleasure groves of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Thus, within my vision, I will always behold the beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me a follower carry damsels of Raj. Please give me the privilege of devotional service and make me your unmet servant. This very fallen and lowly servant Krishna prays. May I always swim in love with Shri Radha and Govind. Shri Mati Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Ki. Etadrishi tava kripaya bhagavan mamati durdhaivam idrishamya janina anuraga trinadapi sunichena tarorapi saishnuna amani namana dena kirtaniya sadahari na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam vajagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishwari Bhavatar bhakti rahituki tvai Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitam mam visame bhavam buddho Kripaya tava pada pankaja stitaduli sadrisham vichintaya Nayanam galos ayu gadgadnarudaya gira Pulakarin chitam vapukada Tavanam agrahane bhavishyati Juga itam nimishena chakrusha prarusha itam shunya itam jagata sarvam govinda virahena me asli sabhapadaratam pinashtuma adarshanar marmahatam karotuva jata tatava vidadatu lampoto matpranatastu saivana paraha Hare Krishna Hare Hare Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Shri Krishna Kam Ki Jai Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradati Krishna Glory to the Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life with repeated baptism. This Sankirtana is the prime benediction for humanity at large. God expressed the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we're always anxious. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings. And thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There is no even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by holy names. but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Once you chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself Lord and strong in spirit, one should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer respect to others. In such state of mind, one can chant the name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotion and service, birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet some or other I'm fallen in this ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I feel all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he sure remains so, even if sandals me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Shri Shri Sikyastakam Ki Jai. Gurari Pramandi. There are 10 offenses in matter with chanting the holy name of the Lord that should be avoided. They are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who dedicate their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider names of demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literatures and pursuits of Vedic version. 5. To consider the glory of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation of holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on strength of chanting the holy name of the Lord. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are often Vedas as fruitive activity, karma kanda. 9. To instruct the faithless person about the glories of the holy name. And 10. To not have complete faith in chanting the holy names and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must carefully guard against 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success. Krishna Prema.
Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like desired trees that can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vanchakalpa tarabhyascha, kripa sindhu bhyebhacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha, Vaishnava Thakur ki jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Swami. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guru Vani Vicharani Visay Sinamuskajistai. Shri Guru Pranama prayers ki jai. Om Aganyati Mirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manubhistam Sapritam Yena Bhutali Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Pajakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahaguna Rakunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Saidvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahaguna Lalita Shri Vishaka Nivitam Sa Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine Namaste Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Tinamine Shivarsavanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Vanchakalpa Turabhyascha Nukti Nustate Ravani Harine Rupa Nuka Virudapa Apasitanta Dvantaharine Namaste Guru Darasamude Badambujayate Namaha Laras Soraya Saksad Vairagyamurtaye Morapaya Gauravir Baba Bhumestwam Nirdesta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhoma Sri Jagannatayate Namaha Vanchakalpaturabhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gurachuse Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakam Namami Bhakta Saktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Surator Bangor Mama Manda Mater Gati Matsarvaswa Padambojo Radha Malinamohano Divyad Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadaha Shimad Ratnagara Simhasanastito Shimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prastadi Bihi Sevyamanam Smarami Shiman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsivata Tatastita Karsan Venuswanir Gopir Gopinatakstriyestuna Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchatattva Mahamantra Ki Jai Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always accompanied by His plenary expansion, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, His incarnation, Sri Advaita Prabhu, His internal potency, Sri Gadadhara Prabhu, and His marginal potency, Srivas Prabhu. He is in the midst of them as the Supreme Personality Godhead. One should know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always accompanied by these other tattvas. Therefore, our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are complete when we say, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. As preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement, we first offer our obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by chanting the Panchatattva mantra. Then we say, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There are 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but these are not considered in the chanting of the Panchatattva mantra, namely, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Mahavadanyavattara, the most magnanimous incarnation, for he does not consider the offenses of the fallen souls. Thus, to derive the full benefit of the chanting of the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We must first take shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, learn the Panchatattva mantra, and then chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That will be very effective. Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The transcendental vibration established by the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the sublime method of reviving our Krishna consciousness. As living spiritual souls, we are all originally Krishna conscious entities, but due to our association with matter from time immemorial, our consciousness is now polluted by the material atmosphere. The material atmosphere in which we are now living is called Maya, or illusion. Maya means that which is not. And what is this illusion? The illusion is that we are all trying to be lords of material nature, while actually we are under the grip of her stringent laws. When a servant artificially tries to imitate the all-powerful master, which is called uh, when okay, when a servant artificially tries to imitate the all-powerful master, this is called illusion. In the polluted concept of life, we are all trying to exploit the resources of material nature, but actually we are becoming more and more entangled in her complexities. Therefore, although we are engaged in a hard struggle to conquer nature, we are ever more dependent on her. This illusory struggle against material nature can be stopped at once by revival of our Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is not an artificial imposition on the mind. This consciousness is the original energy of the living entity. When we hear the transcendental vibration, this consciousness is revived, and this process is recommended for this age by authorities. By practical experience also, one can perceive that by chanting this Mahamantra, or the great chanting for deliverance, one can at once feel a transcendental ecstasy coming through from the spiritual stratum. And when one is factually on the plane of spiritual understanding, surpassing the stages of senses, mind, and intelligence, one is situated in the transcendental plane. This chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is directly enacted from the spiritual platform, and thus this sound vibration surpasses all lower strata of consciousness, namely sensual, mental, and intellectual. There is no need, therefore, to understand the language of the mantra, nor is there any need for mental speculation or any intellectual adjustment for chanting this Mahamantra. It springs automatically from the spiritual platform, and as such, anyone can take part in the chanting without any previous qualification and dance in ecstasy. We have seen this practically. Even a child can take part in the chanting, or even a dog can take part in it. Of course, for one who is too entangled in material life, it takes a little more time to come to the standard point. But even such a materially engrossed man is raised to the spiritual platform very quickly. When the mantra is chanted by a pure devotee of the Lord in love, it has the greatest efficacy on the hearers, and as such, this chanting should be heard from the lips of a pure devotee of the Lord, so that immediate effects can be achieved. As far as possible, chanting from the lips of non-devotees should be avoided. Milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effects. The word Hara is the form of addressing the energy of the Lord, and the words Krishna and Rama are forms of addressing the Lord himself. Both Krishna and Rama mean the supreme pleasure, and Hara is the supreme pleasure energy of the Lord, changed to Hare in the vocative. The supreme pleasure energy of the Lord helps us to reach the Lord. The material energy called Maya is also one of the multi-energies of the Lord, and we, the living entities, are also the energy, marginal energy of the Lord. The living entities are described as superior to material energy. When the superior energy is in contact with the inferior energy, an incompatible situation arises. But when the superior marginal energy is in contact with the superior energy, called Hara, the living entity is established in its happy, normal condition. These three words, namely Hare, Krishna, and Rama, are the transcendental seeds of the Mahamantra. The chanting is a spiritual call for the Lord and his internal energy, Hara, to give protection to the conditioned soul. This chanting is exactly like the genuine cry of a child for its mother. Mother Hara helps the devotee achieve the grace of the Supreme Father Hari, or Mother Hara, Hari or Krishna, and the Lord reveals himself to the devotee who chants this mantra sincerely. No other means of spiritual realization, therefore, is as effective in this age as chanting the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mahamantra, Hare Krishna ki jai. Gaur Premanandi, Hare Bol, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 9, verse number 19. Tam priyamanam Samupastitam kavim praja visarge nijasasanarhanam babasa isat smita sochis sajira priya priyam pritamana hatkare sprisan tam unto Lord Brahma priyamanam worthy of being dear samapastitam present before kavim the great scholar praja living entities visarge in the matter of creation nija his own sasana control arhanam just suitable babase addressed isat mild smita smiling sochisa with enlightening jira words priya the beloved priyam the counterpart of love pritamana being very much pleased kare by the hand sprisan shaking. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. After singing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired, as Krishna desires. And thus, being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and slightly smiling addressed him thus. So this is a very important statement. If one attains purification by engaging in bhakti yoga or devotional service with love and devotion for the Lord, they will eventually, or we will eventually, see the Lord. And upon approaching the Lord in the spiritual world, he welcomes us and shakes our hand. Shakes our hand, right? And smiles, because he's pleased with what we have done. And here it says, after seeing Brahma present before him, the Lord accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as Krishna desired, as he desired. So that's the whole point. Just like a parent, he would like, or she would like, to see that the son or daughter follow their instructions, right? And when the child refuses to follow their instructions, it's very stressful for the parents when the child revolts against them. So all of us have revolted against Krishna. That's why we're in the material world. That's why our eternal soul is covered by a temporary body. And that temporary body is bewildering. We think I am the body, but actually that's not true. I am the soul that is animating the body with consciousness and life. When the soul leaves the body is dead. It has no more consciousness. So it's not difficult to understand. But yet, 98% of the people in the world don't understand this. 98%. They don't understand that they are not this body, that they are a soul. So Brahma is not like that. He's the first created being. Darwin says that the first created being is an amoeba. This is nonsense. It's not true. Here is the real explanation of the creation of the material universe. The spiritual universe is always existing. It never disappears. But the material world is periodically created, it is maintained, and then reabsorbed into the body of Mahavishnu. And when it's reabsorbed, people think it's dead, but it's not. All the living entities are eternal souls, but all their temporary bodies and all the things that they've built, buildings, bridges, and tunnels, and airplanes, and tanks, and all those things are disseminated or reabsorbed because they're all made with the energy of earth, water, fire, air, ether. And the human being is made with earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. A false ego implies that there's a real ego. So the false ego is, I am a product of matter. That is what the modern empirical scientist is saying. There's no spiritual world, there's no soul, there's just matter. And matter organizes itself. That is the most ridiculous statement in the world. Nothing organizes itself without an intelligent person behind it. But this is what the crazy and ignorant scientists and philosophers say. However, when we begin to understand that I'm not this body, I'm not Bengali, I'm not Andhra Pradeshi, I am not Punjabi, I am not this, or I'm not American, I'm not Latino, I'm not white, I'm not black. I have nothing to do with the material body. I am the soul that's animating the body with consciousness. And that soul is 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. Now, how do we know that? Well, because it says that in the scriptures. But how do we really know it? Because every one of us started as a little microscopic fish that you need a microscope to see. You can't see it with your bare eye. Now, would anyone deny that they were that microscopic fish? No, you can't deny it. It's been scientifically proven, right? So, that means when that little fish connects with the ovum in the womb of the mother, it begins to grow. Now, all the intellectual properties or all the intellectual knowledge to create a new baby body, that's in that little fish, right? It's not, the mother doesn't know how it happens, the father doesn't know how it happens. It's like using the internet. You don't know how it works, but yet you can use it. So in the same way, the mother doesn't know how the little baby's body is being formed, and when that little baby comes out, it has hands, little legs, and little feet, and eyes, and ears, and nose, and skin, and blood vessels, and organs, hearts, and liver, and everything is there. Where did it come from? Where did that intellectual knowledge come from? In that little microscopic fish. And the soul is even smaller than the microscopic fish. As it says in the Vedic literatures, the size of the soul, whether it's in the body of an elephant or in the body of a microbe, is 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. So in other words, you take one hair, you cut it longitudinally 100 times, then you take one of those strands, that's 1/100th of that tip of the hair, and you cut it again 100 times, and that is the size of the soul. Of course, you can't do that. You don't have any instruments that are fine enough to do that, but that's a description of the size of the soul. In other words, it is infinitesimally small. It's smaller than an atom, and people can't even see the atoms, and smaller than the atom is the size of your and my soul. But that soul is so powerful that it can fill the whole body with consciousness and energy and life. That's why when the blood goes from the heart out into all the veins and all the arteries and veins and capillaries and passes by the lungs and takes oxygen and then keeps the body alive like that. Oxygen is the number one food of the body. When there's no oxygen to the heart, you have a heart attack. No oxygen to the brain, you have a stroke. No oxygen to any part of the body, you get cancer. And the number one way to heal cancer is with oxygen. Of course, people don't do that. They're kept in the dark. No one is saying that you could heal cancer with oxygen. But that's the way you stay alive. Oxygen is the most important substance to keep you alive. You can go maybe 60, maybe 100 days without eating and you die. You can go maybe 15 days, 20 days, 25 days without drinking water, you'll die. You can't even go 1 or 2 minutes without oxygen. Not even 1 or 2 minutes, and you're dead. So it is the most important, let's say, nutrient to maintain the body and the soul together. Otherwise, the body dies and the soul leaves. That means the soul leaves the body. So here we have so much scientific knowledge that validates the Vedic knowledge. But yet, it's not taught to children. It's not taught to the public. They avoid all these things. And people, they know that everybody knows they start as a microscopic fish. But yet, they don't think, how is that fish alive? How is it moving? How does it know to connect with the ovum? Everybody's just, it's in ignorance. All they do is watch television, they eat meat and gamble and illicit sex, and they think they know something. Even the big scientists like Einstein, he was a philanderer like Bill Clinton. He cheated on his wives. He was married 3-4 times, and he cheated on his wives also. So what does he know about life? See, he is the founder of the atomic bomb. E = mc squared was used to make the atomic bomb. That's his main achievement in life. So this man is actually an idiot. He's not actually smart. So here we see Brahma is the smartest person in the universe, and he's the first person. If you were going to start a company, who would you hire first? The bungie that cleans the toilet or the CEO? Who would you hire first, brother? You wouldn't hire the bungie that cleans the toilet, huh? So who do you think Krishna begins the creation with? The bungie that cleans the toilet, or the most intelligent person named Brahma, the most highly intelligent person? And what does Krishna do? He teaches him how to transform energy into matter. And then he teaches him how to organize the matter to make the 8,400,000 species of life. And then he teaches him how to populate the universe with all the different living entities. See? And this all happens very quickly. But of course, Brahma first has to take up, as we have explained before, tapasya. And that tapasya lasts at least several billion years. Right? It was not overnight. He performed tremendous amount of tapasya. He was very patient, and eventually he hears the flute of Krishna, and then his mind becomes completely enlightened with not all knowledge, but enough knowledge to begin the material creation. And as a reward for his, let's say, ardent performance of penance and austerity and patience, Krishna lets him have darshan of him, and also of Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, to convince him that he hasn't wasted his time or energy. And now Brahma, and then Krishna also shakes hands with him. See, usually when you shake hands with someone, you recognize them as being a good person, right? And if you don't like them, if they put their hand out like that, you don't put your hand out. See? So Brahma was very pleased Krishna was very pleased by Brahma. So after seeing Brahma present before him, Krishna, the Lord, accepted him as worthy to create living beings, to be controlled as he desired. And thus, being much satisfied with him, the Lord shook hands with Brahma and, slightly smiling, addressed him thus. So the explanation of this verse, the purport or the commentary, is the following by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The creation of the material world is not blind or accidental. The living entities, who are ever conditioned, or nityabada, as they say in Sanskrit, are thus given a chance for liberation under the guidance of Krishna's own representative, like Brahma. The Lord instructs Brahma in Vedic knowledge in order to diffuse or spread this knowledge. or to teach this knowledge to the conditioned souls. We are the conditioned souls. We're conditioned by the modes of material nature, time, lust, anger, greed, envy, jealousy, or envy, and illusion, and so these are things that are controlling us, and time, and also the inability, the laziness, and so forth. All these things are keeping us conditioned by birth, old age, disease, and death. All these four miseries of life, birth, old age, disease, and death, are unnecessary because our soul is eternal. But yet, due to modern education, due to our family conditioning, due to our relatives, due to television, due to Bollywood and Hollywood, we think I'm not a soul. I'm just this body, and therefore I've learned that the goal of life is sense gratification: eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, like an animal. That's all the animals do. They eat, they sleep, they mate, and they defend. And therefore, a person wastes their whole life eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and no one's satisfied with it, because if you are able to make a lot of money, you think, well, wait a minute, I can't spend all this money with this short lifetime that I have. Therefore, I have to figure out how to extend my life so that I can enjoy all the money I have. So if you have $1 billion, you can't spend $1 billion in one lifetime. I mean, of course, you could squander it, but to spend it judiciously, it would take you many lifetimes, right? So people who are very wealthy, they realize, wait a minute, this is all useless unless I have a longer lifetime, or my real desire is to be eternal. So therefore, you have idiots like Google investing $1 billion in their satellite company to try and find a way to extend life and to become eventually immortal. See? Every demon wants to be immortal. Hiranyakashipu wanted to be immortal. Ravana wanted to be immortal. And Kamsa wanted to be immortal, right? And the modern demons like Bezos and Elon Musk and Gates and Ellison and Larry this and Larry that, they all want to be eternal because they have so much money they can't spend it in one lifetime. See, but because they live like animals, only eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, they will never be eternal. They will continue uninterrupted in the cycle of birth, death, old age, and disease. And so will we, unless we wake up and hear this transcendental knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, and Srimad Bhagavatam, otherwise we will also be like we'll be a small Bezos or a small Elon Musk, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. And they might have billions of dollars, we might have millions of dollars, or hundreds and thousands of dollars, but it's the same thing. It's the desire to be not to be subject to birth, death, old age, and disease. But you cannot do that by living like an animal. You have to live like a devotee. So here it says, the Lord instructs Brahma in Vedic knowledge in order to diffuse this knowledge. In other words, in order to preach it to others, to teach it to others, to the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls are forgetful souls in their relationship with the Lord, and thus a period of creation and the process of dissemination or spreading of Vedic knowledge are necessary activities of the Lord. Lord Brahma has a great responsibility in delivering the conditioned souls, and therefore he is very dear to the Lord. Now, how did we come to this world? And why is there a necessity for a material creation when there's the eternal spiritual world? Because every one of us has limited free will. It's limited to two decisions only. Either we accept Krishna's instructions and live by them, or we reject them. Now, most souls do not reject Krishna's instructions. Therefore, three-fourths of the creation of Krishna is the spiritual world, and that is eternally existing, and there are many more people than in the material world who are eternally liberated, because they were not dumb enough to walk away from Krishna. But everybody in the material world, we voluntarily walked away from Krishna, being attracted by something in the material world and thinking that why should Krishna be the center of all activity? Let me be the center of all activity. Let me be God. So, and this disease is especially in India, because India has more people claiming to be God than any other country in the world. India is number one in the world in phonies pretending to be God. And just like the other day we read about the sex guru. What's his name? Right. He is being called sex guru now, and everybody in the world is reading about him, that he is number one sex guru. That's like the worst insult that one can, but he earned it. He earned it, right? Now, he ran away from India because he was going to be arrested. He's being pursued by Interpol, International Police Force, and he's a complete phony, right? But yet, people still accept him as the present avatar of God. That's how dumb people are in India. Right? They're not the only dumb people in the world. There's a lot of dumb people in the world. But they lead the world in dumbness because they accept these phony man gods. and then finally they find out either he's a murderer like Asaram Baba, or he's a sex maniac like Nityananda, or this or that, right? So why should we take or believe some phonies? Why can't we believe Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and if you learn the science of Krishna, which is explained in the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam, you will not be duped, you will not be cheated by these phonies. So then it says, Brahma also does his duty very perfectly, not only by generating the living entities, but also by spreading his party for reclaiming the fallen souls. The party is called the Brahma Sampradaya, and any member of this party to date is naturally engaged in reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godhead, back home. So that's who we are, our Sampradaya, represented by Srila Prabhupada and then previous acharyas before him, the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, Lord Chaitanya, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, going back originally to Vyasadeva, to Narada Muni, and then Brahma, and then Krishna. So this is called the Brahma Sampradaya. Sampradaya is the disciplic succession coming originally from Krishna. So the Lord is, and what do? We try and help people understand who is Krishna and how to please Krishna, and therefore how to remember Krishna at the moment of death and go back to Godhead, right? And how to live back to Godhead even in this life, in this body, in this world. So, therefore, the Lord is very much anxious to get back his parts and parcels as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. No one is more dear than the one who takes the task of reclaiming the fallen souls back to Godhead. Well, that is a paraphrase of two important verses. Ya idam paramam guyam mad bhaktesu abhidasyati bhaktim mai param kritva mam ivaisasya samsaya nacha tasman manusyesu kashchit me priyakritama bhavita nacha me tasmat anya priyataro bhuvi. See, these two verses, 18th chapter, 68th verse and 69th verse, explains how endearing a devotee is to Krishna if they engage in helping others become Krishna conscious. It says, this confidential, it says, for one who explains this supreme secret called Bhagavad Gita to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed. And at the end, he, the person who teaches Bhagavad Gita to others will come back to me, Krishna says. And then he says, there is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. So we see how much importance Krishna gives to the person who learns Bhagavad Gita correctly and teaches it to others. If you want to be dear to Krishna, this is what you have to do in life. And if Krishna likes you, you have no problems. And it'll be the last time you will have to experience, or we will have to experience, birth, old age, disease, and death. We will go back to Godhead because we have pleased the Lord our whole lifetime by spreading the gospel of the Bhagavad Gita to others. Now, it says, Shadavan anasuyas cha shrinu yad apino yo nara sopi mukta subalokan prapnuyat punya karmanam. It says, and one who listens with faith and without envy to this Bhagavad Gita becomes free from sinful reactions and attains to the auspicious planets where the pious dwell, meaning you go back to Godhead. So, and then it says, Kaschit itach shrutam partha tva yaikagrena chetasa kaschit agyana samoha pranastas te Dhananjaya. O son of Prita, Arjuna. Arjuna is also Dhananjaya. It means that he is most charitable because he collects riches and he uses them to spread Krishna consciousness. Right? So, O son of Prita, O Dhananjaya, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusions now dispelled? So what does Arjuna say? He says, Nastam mohas mitir ladva tat prasadat mayuchita stitosti gata sandeya karisya vachanam tava. Now my moha, my illusion is gone, and smitir ladva, I can remember who I really am. I am your eternal servant. Tvat prasadat mayuchita. This is your best prasad, Krishna. This is your best mercy. You have eliminated all my moha, my illusion about who I am, what my duty in life is, what is the goal of life, etc. Now I know I'm your eternal servant, and I should engage always in bhakti, yoga, or devotional service to you with love and devotion, and I have no more doubts. Whatever you say, that's what I'm going to do. So this is the ultimate statement of faith in God. Right. Okay, so then it says in this purport, there are many renegades from the Brahma Sampradaya whose only business is to make men or women more forgetful of the Lord and thus entangle them more and more in material existence. Such persons are never dear to the Lord, and the Lord sends them deeper into the darkest region of matter so that such envious demons may not be able to know the Supreme Lord. Anyone, however, preaching the mission of the Lord in the line of the Brahma Sampradaya is always dear to the Lord, and the Lord, being satisfied with such a preacher of the authorized bhakti cult, shakes hands with him in great satisfaction. So I pray that all of you can shake hands with Krishna. But of course, the prerequisite is you have to become a devotee of the Lord. You know. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the nectar of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, 8th canto. Madhya Lila, the second part of it. And yesterday we stopped at the point where Krishna rejected the Varnashram system as the means to attain the goal of life. And it seems a little shocking because he established the Varnashram system. So now we're going to learn why he rejected that. And now Ramananda Rai offers a second alternative to how to attain the actual goal of life. The reason he rejected it is the following. The Lord replied, this is external. Varnashrama, so the Varnashram system, Varnashrama Charavata Purushena Parak Pumam Vishnu Radyate Panta Nanyat Tat Desa Karanam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped by the proper execution of prescribed duties in a system of varna and ashrama, meaning social orders and spiritual orders. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One must be situated in the institution of the four varnas and ashramas. And Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita, that's a verse from the Vishnu Purana, but Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita basically says the same thing. He says, Chaturvanyam mayashishtam gunakarma vibhagasaha tashikartaram apiman vidyakartaram avyayam. In the 7th chapter, he quotes that. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam also it says, Atak pumbir dvijashvestas varnashram vibhagasaha swanistitash dharmasya samsadir haritoshanam. The best way to please Lord Haritoshanam, is by engaging in the varnas and the ashrama system. But yet, Lord Chaitanya tells Ramananda Rai, this is external. You had better tell me of some other means. So Ramananda Rai says, to offer the results of one's activities to Krishna is the essence of all perfection. And he quotes from the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, and he says, Yat karosi yad asnasi yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasya sikonti yat tat kurusva madarpanam. He said, my dear son of Kunti Arjuna, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, and whatever austerities you perform, all the results of such activities should be offered to me, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Prabhupada is going to explain why Krishna rejected the Varnashram system, although he recommends it in the Bhagavad Gita, and it's also recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam and in the Vishnu Purana. Purport by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Lord has said that the Varnashrama Dharma is not properly executed in this age of Kali. That's the reason. Because it's not properly followed in this Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the age of hypocrisy and quarrel. We're living in the age today of hypocrisy and quarrel. What's an example of that? Well, politicians are lying, and they're arguing that they're not lying. That is hypocrisy and quarrel. See, they do it in a Lok Sabha. In fact, in the Lok Sabha, they fight each other. Also, they beat up each other in the Lok Sabha, right? And they do it in the United States House of Representatives and in the Senate also. They get into fights, see, and they claim, I did not, just like Bill claims, he points his finger at the American, I did not have sex with that woman, right? And then that woman has a dress with his semen on it. She gives it to be analyzed by forensic scientists, and he has to. Then it's proven that he did engage in sex with Lewinsky. So he's a liar, right? And so people are claiming that they're not liars, that they're honest, and their most important thing is family, and then you find out that actually they're lying. See? So many politicians get caught like that because they can't control their zippers. This is the problem with politicians. They have so much power, but they can't even control themselves. Anyway, so Krishna says this Varnashram system is not being properly followed in this age. That's why he's rejecting it. He ordered Ramananda Raya to go further into the matter. Ramananda replied that this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 27th verse, Yat Karosi Dasnasi, which instructs that while remaining in the system of Varnashram Dharma, one may offer the results of his or her activities to Lord Sri Krishna in loving service. Naturally, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asking Ramananda Roy about the execution of devotional service. Ramananda Rai first enunciated the principle of Varnashram Dharma in consideration of materialistic persons or people. However, the conception is not transcendental. As long as one is in the material world, he must follow the principles of Varnashram Dharma, but devotional service is transcendental. The system of Varnashram Dharma refers to the three modes of material nature, but transcendental devotional service is on the absolute platform. So this is I mean, look, unless you hear this, we will be misled. Now, there's nothing wrong with the Varnashram Dharma system if it's properly followed, but it's not in this age. Now, how do we know that? Well, because most of the Brahmanas, and I would say 96% of all the Brahmanas in India, are simply doing puja for hire. It's a business. They make money by taking money from you to do these pujas, Satyanarayana puja, and Sani puja, and this puja, and that puja. And they always have you say in the beginning, mama. Now, what does mama mean? This is for me. Well, wait a minute. We already read about the I and me syndrome. It is the basis of false ego. All sacrifices are meant to please Krishna. They're not meant for our own satisfaction. But if we act like that to satisfy Krishna, we will be completely satisfied because we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are not at any point separated from the Lord. But when we act separated from the Lord, and the pundit says, say mama, mama, for me, that is a violation of Vedic Shruti, or Vedic knowledge. And this is explained in Bhagavad Gita by Krishna in several places, where he says in the 18th chapter, verse number 5, he says, Yagya dana tapa karma nyatyajyam karyam evatat yajno danam tapaschaiva pavanani manissinam. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. They must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. And in the purport by Srila Prabhupada, it's explained. The yogis should perform acts for the advancement of human society. There are many purificatory processes for advancing in human life, advancing a human being to spiritual life. The marriage ceremony, for example, is considered to be one of these sacrifices. It is called Vivaha Yagya. Should a sannyasi who is in the renounced order of life and who has given up his family relations encourage the marriage ceremony? The Lord says here that any sacrifice which is meant for human welfare should never be given up. Vivaha Yagya, the marriage ceremony, is meant to regulate the human mind so that it may become peaceful for spiritual advancement. For most men, this Vivaha Yagya should be encouraged even by persons in the renounced order of life. Sannyasis should never associate with women, but that does not mean that one who is in the lower stages of life, a young man, should not accept a wife in the marriage ceremony. All prescribed sacrifices are meant for achieving the Supreme Lord. Therefore, in the lower stages, they should not be given up. Similarly, charity is for the purification of the heart. If charity is given to the suitable persons, as described previously, it leads one to advance spiritual life. And then it says, Etanyapi tu karmani sangam tyakva falanicha kartavya nitime parta nishchitam matam uttamam. All these activities of yagya, dana, tapa, and yagya, dana, tapa, etc., should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. That's the point. This is Krishna that says that. Sangam tyakva falanicha. One should not be attached to the fowl, to the fruit of the labor. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Prita. That is my final opinion. And in the purport, His Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada says, although all sacrifices are purifying, one should not expect any result from such performances. In other words, all sacrifices which are meant for material advancement in life should be given up, but sacrifices that purify one's existence and elevate one to the spiritual plane should not be stopped. Everything that leads to Krishna consciousness must be encouraged. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, also, it is said that any activity which leads to devotional service to the Lord should be accepted. That is the highest criterion of religion. A devotee of the Lord should accept any kind of work, sacrifice, or charity which will help him in the discharge of devotional service to the Lord. So there it is. Then in the 17th chapter, 24th verse, Krishna says, Tasmat om iti udaritya yagyadana tapakriya pravartante vidanokta satatam brahma vadinam. Therefore, transcendentalists undertaking performances of sacrifice, charity, and penance in accordance with spiritual regulations begin always with Om to attain the Supreme. And in the purport, it says, Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam, Rig Veda 1:22-20. The lotus feet of Vishnu are the supreme devotional platform. The performance of everything and on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead assures the perfection of all activity. And then the next verse it said, Tad iti anabis sandaya phalam yagya tapa kriya dana kriyas chavividha kriyante moksha kangshibihi. Without desiring fruitive results, one should perform various kinds of sacrifice, penance, and charity with the word tat. The purpose of such transcendental activity is to get free from material entanglement. So, to be elevated, in the explanation of this verse, it says, to be elevated to the spiritual position, one should not act for any material gain. You see, twice Krishna is emphasizing that all the yagyas, all the sacrifices, all the pujas should be only performed for the pleasure of the Lord, not for personal aggrandizement. In other words, not for personal gimme. That's not the purpose. The saying mama, if a pundit comes to your house and is performing a sacrifice, and in the beginning he says, he's doing a puja, and in the beginning he says, say mama. You should stand up, turn around, and run as fast as you can. Because he's going to keep you in the material world by emphasizing that I, me, and mine syndrome. Everything is for me. Me. I. So that's what's keeping us in the material world, the selfishness, that ignorance of God, and that the continual avoidance of doing anything favorable to please God. See? This is how dangerous Kali Yuga is. The pundits themselves are acting like demons and putting a wedge between you and God by saying this is for you, when actually it's for Krishna or Vishnu. It's not for us. But what do we gain out of all this? We become purified of the false ego, and we engage in genuine acts of love and devotion for Krishna. Then we are liberated, even in this body. Iha yasya harer dasya karmana manasajira akilasvapi avastasu jivan mukta uchate. You become jivan mukta in this world if you use everything you have, your body, your senses, your mind, your intelligence, your money, your car, your 401k, everything in the service of God. And that's what we teach in this temple. This is Seva Ashram. When a person steps in this temple, whether they know it or not, they're performing Seva. That is the purpose of life. That's how you will be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. At the moment of death, you can remember Krishna, because all during your life, your goal was to please Krishna. That's called Daiva Varnashram, God-centered Varnashram. Okay, so we'll stop right there, and we're going to continue again tomorrow. So today, we learned that the first proposal was rejected because Varnashram Dharma is not followed properly in this age. Why? Because 96, maybe 98% of all the sadhus and so-called priests in India, or pundits, they're phonies. They're misleading people. They're just doing puja for hire to make money for themselves. Okay? Therefore, normally, a sadhu is normally not fat, and doesn't wear designer clothes, doesn't have gold necklaces and a Rolex watch, doesn't have a BMW, but has a vow of poverty. That means all the dhanam that they received, they use it in service of Krishna, but their life is very, 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 very restricted. They do not do anything or desire anything for themselves. Their only desire is to please the Lord. So they are genuine sadhus. And all the ones with the BMWs and the Rolexes and the gold chains, they're phonies. Unfortunately, it's a great tragedy. Haribol, are there any questions? He attained this by following the Vaishnava Pantha path, right? What is the Vaishnava Pantha? Well, explain this. This was explained yesterday. Yane prayasam utapasya namanta deva. One second. This is 2:9:18. Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti sammukaratam bhavadiya vartam stane stita sutikatan tanavan manobir ye prayasa jita jito pi asitais trilokyam. So this is an explanation of how you become a perfect person, or how you become purified. Lord Brahma said, "O my Lord Krishna, a devotee who abandons the path of empiric philosophical speculation aimed at merging in the existence of the Supreme and engages himself in hearing," that's the main word there, hearing your glories and activities from a bona fide sadhu or saint, and who lives an honest life in the occupational engagement of his social life, can conquer your sympathy and mercy even though you are ajita, or unconquerable. Okay, so what does that mean? In plain English, it means, point one should first, with all conviction, that means fully determined and fully faithful of God, believe in the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. That's number one. And this is simply an explanation of what Brahma did in the beginning of time. He actually believed that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's no one equal to him or greater than him. And number two, and without making efforts to realize him by speculative philosophy. Speculation means someone asks you a question, you don't know the answer. So you say, well, I think it may be this, and it may be that, and perhaps, and what if, and let us assume that. Whenever they use those phrases, that means they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They're making it up. It's like Dr. Grouchy, right? I call him Grouchy. He's supposed to be Fauci, but he's Grouchy. And it's up there always. Better put the mask on, you know. You better get the fourth shot, you know. And if you don't have the first one, well, you're going to die. You're going to die. Definitely going to die. You better get that first shot, and then you get the second shot, and then get the third shot, and then you get the fourth shot, and there'll be a fifth shot also. These people are nonsense, right? And the president, put on the mask, and put on this, and put on that, and do this, and do that. They're trying to tell you what to do. But they never say, stop eating meat, stop having illicit sex, stop gambling, stop intoxication, including coffee and tea, and live a pure life. Take ginger, take turmeric, and stop eating all this junk, chaat and all that junk food. Chaat, by the way, is complete junk. Right. And just eat ragi and fresh vegetables, right? And drink garam dud, right? Not this garam whiskey or garam beer or cold beer, you know. So, people have gone crazy. Even in India, they're going, stop cooking with dalda, right? Stop eating maida. Of course, people won't listen to that. What do you mean? Oh, no, dalda is good for your heart. Ghee will cause heart attack. But no, the opposite is true. Dalda will cause heart attack, and ghee will give you ojas, give you life. Of course, nobody believes this. They've all been fooled by the false propaganda of the multinational businesses. Anyway, then it says, the number 3, one should prefer to hear about Krishna from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and later from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Number 4, one should hear such discourses from a person Bhagavatam and not from the professional man or from the karmi, jnani, or yogi. That is the secret of learning the science. One does not need to be in the renounced order of life. He can remain in his present condition of life, but he must search out the association of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and hear from him the transcendental message of the Lord with faith and conviction. That's it right there. That's an explanation of how you contain perfection in this life. 2nd Canto, 9th chapter, 18th verse. And that's exactly what Brahma did. That's why he is the number 1 person in the whole universe. And you can attain that same position because Brahma is not God. He is a jiva like us, but he has followed this process and attained perfection as a human being. Haribol, 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 Gaur Premanandi, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra ki jai. Krishna consciousness is the easiest way to go back to Godhead. Simply chant Hare Krishna, dance, take prasadam, and just hear Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. You're guaranteed going back to Godhead. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. Jai Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai. Krishna Matirastu, may you always remember Krishna. Haribol, Haribol. So we're going to have Guru Puja now.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. Bando mui savdhana mate. Bando mui savdhana Jahar prasade bhai e bhava turiya jai. Jahar prasade bhai e bhava Krishna prapti hoy jaha hate. Krishna prapti hoya hoite. Guru mukha padma vakya chitete koriya aikha. Guru mukha padma vakya chitete koriya aikha. আর না করি হো মনে আশা, আর না করি মনে শ্রী গুরু চরণে রতি ऐसे उत्तम गति। जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा, जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से, चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु दे। दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो, ज्ञान प्रकाशितो। प्रेम भक्ति जहा होते अविद्या विनाश जते, जहा होते अविद्या विनाश। वेदे गाय जहर चरितो, श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधम जनर बंधु, श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधम जनर बंधु। लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना, के ना लोकेर जीवाना। लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना, लोकनाथ लोकेर जीवाना। प्रभु कोरो दया देह मोरे पाद छाया, प्रभु कोरो दया देह मोरे पाद छाया। प्रभु कोरो दया देह मोरे पाद छाया, प्रभु कोरो दया देह मोरे पाद छाया। हे बेजस घोषक त्रिभुवाना, हे बेजस घोषक त्रिभुवाना, बेजस घोषक त्रिभुवाना। प्रभुपाद दोइलो शरणा, प्रभुपाद दोइलो शरणा। प्रभुपाद जय, 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 प्रभुपाद जय। गुरुदेवा जय, 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 गुरुदेवा। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले, श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामीति नामिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले, श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे, निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे, निर्विशेष जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सदी गौर भक्त वृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सदी गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि
Jayo Vishnupad Paramahansa Pararajagachastata Satarashishi Shimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudi Gaura Bhakta Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapura Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Ganga Maya Ki Jai Jamuna Maya Ki Jai Samavela Bhakta Binda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to the simple devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Guranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavani Ki Jai Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutani Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pucharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Panskati Go to Premanandi. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pachani Visesis. The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain the pure devotional service. I bow down to his lotus feet with great honor and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from this lotus mount. Attachment to this lotus feet is the perfection.
Using of this character, spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and the lord and master of the devotees. O Lord Master, be merciful unto me, give me the shade of your lotus feet, your fame is spread all over the three worlds. We take